Evening folks, and welcome to this demonstration of my Seiko 6139-6002 automatic chronograph watch. This is a watch from 1972 and it had a bit of space history to it, not this particular watch but this particular model of watch. It's also known as the Pogue Seiko. It was the first automatic chronograph worn in space by a Col William Pogue, who was on the Skylab 4 mission in 1973. So a watch like this was worn in space for 83 days on Skylab, and he proved in that mission that an automatic watch would work in space. Prior to that, NASA had been using, and in fact they still were at that point, the official NASA watch for space missions was the Omega Speedmaster. I think some people may have thought that an automatic watch wouldn't self-wind in zero gravity because it relies on a rotor to wind the spring, but Colonel Pogue reported that he never needed to do anything to wind it up. It worked normally. And he used some of the unique features of this watch for timing engine burns on that Skylab mission. So I'll just show you some of the features of the watch. First things first, you can see around the outside of the bezel it's got a tachymeter scale, which the way that works, you time a given distance, normally a mile or a kilometre, and it'll tell you how many of those miles per hour you are doing. So for instance, if you manage to do a mile in 30 seconds, you're doing 120 miles an hour. Pretty self-explanatory. And this has got a very nice sort of, it's got the red and the blue part of the tachymeter bezel. And normally, as you go faster and faster, the numbers up here would go higher and higher and higher, and that's what the red portion is here to show, that it kind of, if you're timing something it goes beyond 60 seconds, it starts going into the lower speeds. So if something is taking 72 seconds there, you're actually doing 52 miles an hour if it's miles you're timing. Whereas a lot of normal watches, it just goes up and up and up to quite impossible speeds, which wouldn't be accurate to measure. So that's why that bit's red, that's showing beyond a second, and the blue bit's less than a second. And that's timed by this red second hand there, which you'll notice is stationary at the moment because that's only used for the chronograph, and there's no separate second hand for the watch. It just should got the hours and the minutes there. It also shows the day and the date, and it's got one other function, which is this rotating inner bezel. So you turn the crown like this and it rotates the inner bezel. So that's another thing you can use for timing events, and apparently that's what Colonel Pogue used for timing engine burns, was the rotating bezel. So it's a nice chunky watch, good size even by modern standards, and I'll just demonstrate the chronograph here. So that's it, starting, stopping and resetting. The other interesting thing about this watch is how you set the date. It's got a quick set date, and that's operated by pressing the crown in. So if you push it in slightly, it's changing the date, and if you push it in harder, it changes the day of the week. And it's got two date wheels on it. It's got an Arabic one and an English one. So that's it, the Seiko 6139-6002 from 1972. Colonel Pogue bought his in 1972 and he paid $71.50 for it. They go for about sort of $300 or £200 these days, and it's a very nice watch indeed from the 70s. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Cheerio.